Welcome back to NCHS Quran Podcast. I'm Editor-in-Chief Ryan Boulanger, and today I'll be discussing our open campus and related policies with Principal Bill Egan and Assistant Principal Kristi Carriero. So how are you guys doing today?
Great, Ryan. Thanks for having us.
Good. So as you guys know, NCHS is somewhat of a pioneer when it comes to our open campus policy. We're one of the only fully open campuses in Fairfield County, and where students are allowed to leave during unscheduled class time. And in fact, some of our neighbors like Darien, Weston, have tighter restrictions on students leaving during the day and entering campus. And other schools like Stanford and Staples, to my knowledge, have very limited or no open campus privileges at all. So, Mr. Egan, can you give me kind of the background on the history of our open campus and how that came to be as we know it today?
Sure. First of all, New Canaan High School's always had an open campus policy that students have been afforded the luxury to take advantage of. However, it was a lot more limited pre-COVID. So basically at that point, and Ms. Carriero, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but seniors had kind of full open campus. Juniors could leave if they had parent permission, but not during the lunch periods. And sophomores had none, and freshmen certainly had no privileges at that point. So during COVID, we needed to kind of thin out the buildings a little bit. And we're like, well, how could we do this? And we decided to pilot our open campus and give students more freedoms. You know, we had talks as an administration and said, you know, first of all, we think our students are amazing. And they work really hard, they're talented. Why not afford them more freedoms and more opportunities to either leave campus or stay and either get work done or have, you know, community time here, but give them the option to be able to do that. At the same time, we concurrently kind of switched schedules, and we went into a block schedule. It was a modified block at that point for, you know, during COVID. But then we adopted the block schedule and said, hey, we should really give this an opportunity, you know, because we think our kids deserve it. And honestly, like most things, our students step up and do the right thing and are now afforded the opportunity to leave campus, where seniors can leave, you know, at any time, juniors as well, even the sophomores really. Freshmen even have the opportunity to sleep in and leave early with parent permission. We do have study halls during the middle day for freshmen because we want to give them a sense of kind of working on time management skills and working on becoming better students. But even they have real freedoms that a lot of schools don't afford their students.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think, honestly, I think the world of our student body here. I mean, they step up in every way all the time. And I think they deserve these rights.
Ms. Carriero, do you have anything to add?
I was just going to add that I agree. I think, you know, it started in COVID, and then students rose to the challenge, right? So they were afforded the freedoms, and then they didn't, you know, they weren't taken advantage of, and students, if they left, they're back on time for their classes. So I think it's a system that's really working for our students, and we're glad that it is.
You know, one thing about our students is they don't miss class, you know, so they really care about their academics, so they make sure they're back, they get their work done, so it seems like a natural fit for us.
Yeah, so to my knowledge, I know upperclassmen students don't have to sign out with anyone when they leave. Is this somewhat of a challenge for you guys as administrators? How do you like to approach that?
Our number one priority is to keep everybody safe. So we would like people to kind of, you know, sign out and kind of scan out. Eventually we'll get to a spot where we have a gate that maybe can do that digitally, even where students can kind of scan out and put their cards there so we know where people are. And it's not really about like a control thing. It's more of a safety thing. Mm-hmm. God forbid something went wrong, that we know who's on campus or not. So we're looking to modify things to try and make it better for everybody. But, you know, all of it's more about freedom and opportunity more than it is anything else.
Anything to add?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, so we talked about safety concerns, and I know we're obviously in New Canaan. We live in such an amazing town, so we're I'm grateful that, you know, I'm not worried about safety on a daily basis, but I know other campuses that are, especially in like urban settings, aren't as lucky to have that. That's why Stanford High School, which I was reading an article about the other day, is trying to open their campus like we have, but they're facing some challenges. Do you guys think that, how do you guys think that New Canaan High School kind of serves as a model to some other schools in our area?
Every school has their own uniqueness and their own, opportunities and challenges. So if it's something that fits for them, that's great. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. It doesn't mean it's a bad school or even a less, free school. It's just different opportunities and challenges that every school faces. We're fortunate that, we can afford our students this opportunity to be able to do it, and that our students rise to the challenge. But, if it's a model for other schools, that's great. But certainly if a school can't kind of meet the needs of their kids with an open campus policy, I understand that too.
And I think I would add that it's important to remember that, like, we do have a lot of safety and security protocols and procedures in place concurrently with the open campus. So all of our doors, except for our main door, is locked. Our campus monitors are purposefully, kind of placed, of course, always at the main entrance, but also certain times at the day, like by our auxiliary gym, just to make sure that we're monitoring who's coming in and out of the building, to make sure we're having a one-door entrance, so that helps. So even though kids are coming and going, we're still following, what's, considered best practice in terms of safety protocols.
Yeah, that's something I also wanted to touch on is the doors. I don't know if you guys wanted to give somewhat of a rationale behind that, because I know a lot of students, like especially myself, I'll arrive late during a free period to gym or something, and I'm at the door. Oh, it's locked. And it's frustrating, but I think if students were to hear that rationale, they might understand.
From a safety perspective, we really want students coming in one door in the building. Most schools have all doors locked.
Mm-hmm.
We do keep the one door up by the main office open for students to come in, but obviously there's a campus monitor to monitor that whole thing. So that's really all about safety. I certainly understand sometimes, especially if it's cold, students don't necessarily want to walk all the way up. So, funny, Mr. Ryan, our special ed administrator, he has an office down that other end, so he's always hearing students bang on the guidance doors or whatever. And I certainly walk by and see that. But really it's all about just trying to keep everybody safe and doing the right thing to make sure that we stay safe. Because you hear stories of a person in the building that shouldn't be there, not here necessarily, but around other schools. And that's really what we want to keep other people out of the building that don't belong here. And sometimes, especially if it's like students, they can get lost in the crowd. So our best opportunity is really everybody coming through that main door so our campus monitors can monitor that situation.
Got it. Yeah, no, that's something, I know it's unfortunate nowadays that, there was just another school shooting, I think it was in Michigan just a week ago, and it's something that can happen to any school, but I know we have these safety protocols in place. That being said, I know Mr. Egan, you've sent out quite a few emails to students reminding them not to order services like Uber Eats and Grubhub to the school. Would you mind kind of explaining to students what the reasoning behind that is?
Well, a couple things, right? Like, you don't want strangers on campus. Like, we don't know anything about them. Like, generally everybody that comes here is a parent or is somebody who's working at the schools who has either been fingerprinted or has been around kids, and we know they're safe. We don't know anything about any of these drivers that come in. So that's one thing. We want to keep our building and our campus perimeter safe. So we shouldn't really be having Ubers or Uber Eats come to campus. That being said, there's also the piece that if we can't have them here, they should be turned away. So we've done that. And for them, I feel badly because this is how they're making a living. So when they accept that food, they're saying, I'll deliver it. And if they can't deliver it, they're not getting paid. So, like, that's one thing I urge our students, don't hurt someone's financial situation because you want a sandwich and you think it can get delivered, and sometimes it might get stopped. So we just want to make sure that we keep everybody safe and that we don't hurt somebody's financial situation. That's the one time, the last time with the Uber Eats email I sent out, hey, this actually can impact somebody else. So don't order something because it actually may hurt somebody, which I know no one wants to do.
Yeah, and I would just add, I think it's important for our students to know that it's not about taking anything away from our kids, right? It's about focusing on not allowing unidentified, people into our building that, we don't know who they are. So our goal is always to keep students safe. So it's not about taking anything away. It's just about maintaining safety around the building.
Well, that was the one thing that's interesting. When we first had our conversation, I think there was some conversation at the board level about adopting this policy formally, and you were like, oh, so are we looking to take something away? And I'm like, no. Like, we are as free as you can be, and we want to keep things that way, but it was really just formalizing what we've done.
Got it, yeah. I like the going off of kind of the lunch thing, and I know there's the official guidance that's on the Board of Education's website is that, or the policy that we ratified and is already in place, as you said, is that students are not supposed to leave during lunch if they don't have a full block. What's the guidance on that?
Time. We don't want students rushing. So ultimately, we're fortunate because we have these 90-minute blocks, right, or 85-minute blocks. So that's a lot of time to be able to go out and get a sandwich, say, and come back. But let's say you have a split block period, and in the middle you have lunch. Now you're talking 25 minutes. So somebody has to rush to get out and come back. We want to keep students safe. As you may have witnessed around here, sometimes students aren't our best drivers. So we want to make sure people take time when they're going to do anything. So that's the only rationale about that. We just don't want students rushing.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. And I could talk for days about the student drivers. I know we're not,
That's
we're
a different
not the
podcast.
best. Yeah, the best frame of mind. But
Learning, everyone's learning.
yeah, are there any other challenges that you guys as an administration have faced kind of implementing this? Because I know this is something really new, and it's going to be hopefully here to stay for the future. And as a student, I'm very grateful that I have these freedoms. But how do you see it maybe evolving in the future?
First of all, for us, we've tried to work on this for a few years to maximize our effectiveness with it. But could we see somewhere down the line some sort of scanning system where our student IDs work for kids to be able to get indoors and we can track kids coming in and out of doors? That's possibly down the road. But that's not something right now. But that would be an ease of effectiveness for students to come in and out of the building and also help us kind of track students as well. And by track students, I mean leave campus, not track students.
Yeah, I think we have some plans, hopefully, of, allowing our campus monitors outside of school to go back to scanning kids when they're leaving campus, again, just for our knowledge of, who's present and who's not present. And so I'm looking forward to hopefully us being able to do that in the future.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that's something with the library too. I can sign in.
Yeah.
Because I get it. It's not really. It's not a 1984 trying to track where people are. It's more just a safety liability thing.
There are sometimes it's something that may happen, and we're like, oh, was that student in the library? And it's a wonderful thing for us to be able to say, oh, yeah, they were, or they weren't, so.
Even if someone has an unexpected, early dismissal, and it's like, okay, they have a free, so let's see if we can track where they are in the building. Great, they're in the library.
Do you guys have any suggestions, kind of as a closing note, any suggestions to students on how to best use this freedom that they're given?
The one thing I would say is continue to do what you do, right? Be kind to everybody that you meet, whether that be adults or fellow students, and then follow the procedures that we have in place. So if you're have a free, leave campus, but always be orderly. Do the right thing. Don't pile into a car. Make sure you follow the motor vehicle rules that are established by the state, not by us. And just kind of make sure that academics come first, but always enjoy your experience. I think this school is an amazing community. The community is an amazing community, really, and it provides a lot of opportunities for kids to really, take advantage of life. And almost, school can be hard. And high school is a challenge, right? You're trying to build your profile to better your lives in the future. But you guys deserve some breaks too. So if there's an opportunity to go off campus, maybe to go home, to go get a sandwich, to go to Starbucks, that's all awesome. But just do it in a way that keeps yourself safe and that you're respectful to yourself, your family, and the school community.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add is that it's a good learning opportunity on determining strategies that work for each student depending on whatever situation they're facing. Maybe they have a big assessment and they can look forward to going to get, that drink after class, or they have, their junior research paper coming up, and then now they have the opportunity to access the writing center or the library or the other resources that we have in school. So the open campus extends not just to leaving physical school grounds, but being able to access all of the awesome resources, we have available in the building.
And while we talked about freedoms for kids a lot, like this whole conversation was about freedoms, to me, it's really about preparing you for the next step of your life. To me, this is the way colleges kind of operate. In some ways we joke, this is University of New Canaan, but we treat students like that in preparation for their next step. Because when you go to college, in between class, they're not looking for you. We try and do the same thing, but do it in a way that's safe and orderly and kind of maximizes everybody's academic and personal potential.
100%, yeah. Anything else, guys?
I just hope students keep, returning on time and going to class and take advantage of, these freedoms and time that they have, so that, we can keep having this open campus for all students.
Yeah, and I would just say, thank you for being awesome kids. Continue to do that.
Yeah. All right. Thank Mr. Egan, Mrs. Carriero. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in to NCHS Courant Podcasts, and make sure to check out all of our other awesome content on the Courant's website and our social media accounts. Once again, this has been your Editor-in-Chief, Ryan Boulanger, signing off.